You think that cheap used car is a smart purchase for your cross-country road trip? What if I told you that some engines are ticking time bombs that'll leave you stranded in the middle of nowhere with repair bills higher than the car's value? Engines that look perfectly fine during the test drive, but are notorious for catastrophic failures at highway speeds. In this video, I'm counting down the 13 worst engines you should never trust on a road trip, backed by real mechanical analysis and repair costs. And trust me, several of these might be sitting in your driveway right now. From timing chains that snap without warning to oil sludge monsters that seize up in hours, these engines have design flaws so severe that mechanics won't even touch them. And here's what's really disturbing. The #1 engine on this list has a failure rate so predictable that it caused a $2 billion recall. Miss this countdown, and you might be making the most expensive mistake of your life. That great deal could turn into a $12,000 repair bill and a ruined vacation faster than you can say check engine light. Number 13, Volkswagen and Audi 1.8T, early 2000s. Let's kick things off with the VW and Audi 1.8T from the early 2000s. Found in models like the B5 Passat, A4, and even the new Beetle, this engine looks impressive on paper. Turbocharged, decent power output of around 150 to 180 horsepower depending on the variant, and that German engineering reputation everyone raves about. But here's the ugly truth. These engines are oil sludge factories. The problem comes down to poor oil drainage and ventilation design. The PCV, positive crankcase ventilation system, is inadequate, and the oil return passages are too restrictive. The turbocharger generates massive heat. We're talking oil temperatures that can exceed 300 degrees Fahrenheit during highway driving. And that heat cooks the oil into a thick, nasty sludge that clogs the tiny oil passages. It gets even worse in cold climates. The condensation that forms during short trips never fully evaporates, mixing with the oil and accelerating the sludge formation process. Volkswagen initially recommended 10,000-mile oil change intervals, which was absolutely catastrophic for these engines. By 60,000 miles, many of them were already developing serious sludge issues. Number 12, BMW N54 3.0-liter twin-turbo i6, 2006 to 2013. The BMW N54 engine, found in the 335i, 135i, 535i, and other models from 2006 to 2013, was BMW's answer to the modern turbo era. Twin turbos, direct injection, impressive power. It pushed out 300 horsepower and 300 pound-feet of torque right from the factory with massive tuning potential. It was even named one of Ward's 10 best engines when it debuted. But there's a reason these cars depreciate like they're falling off a cliff. This engine has a high-pressure fuel pump, HPFP, that fails with shocking regularity. The pump operates at pressures exceeding 2,000 psi, necessary for direct injection. But the original design simply couldn't handle the sustained stress. When it goes, you're not getting any warning. The car suddenly loses power and throws itself in a limp mode, often at highway speeds. Imagine cruising at 75 miles per hour when your car suddenly decides it can only do 40. That's not just inconvenient, it's dangerous, especially if you're in the passing lane or heavy traffic. The failure became so common that BMW went through multiple HPFP designs. The early Index 1 and Index 2 pumps would typically fail before 30,000 miles. Later revisions improved somewhat, but many N54-powered cars have gone through 3 or 4 pumps during their lifetime. BMW issued multiple recalls for this problem, recall number 10 E-A01 being the most significant. But many cars on the road today still haven't had the updates. The repair bill? Usually $1,000 to $1,500 just for the HPFP. And don't forget about those direct injection fuel injectors that also love to fail. That's another $1,350 for a complete set. Number 11, GM 3.6-liter V6, 2007 to 2012. The GM 3.6-liter V6 found its way into everything from Cadillacs to Camaros between 2007 and 2012. On paper, it offered a nice balance of power and economy, around 300 horsepower, while still delivering reasonable fuel efficiency. In reality, these engines, especially the early LY7 and LLT versions, became infamous for premature timing chain stretch. Here's what happens. The timing chain materials weren't up to spec, and extended oil change intervals made it worse. GM recommended oil changes every 10,000 miles with their oil life monitoring system, but this engine needed much more frequent service. The chain guides and tensioners are plastic, and as they wear, the chain develops slack. As the chain stretches, your engine timing goes out of whack. You'll start getting check engine lights, typically P0008 or P0009 codes for engine position system performance. You'll notice rough running, especially at startup, and eventually the chain could jump teeth or break completely. The timing chain is located at the rear of the engine, which makes this an extremely labor-intensive repair. Your mechanic will need to remove the front cover, which means taking off numerous components, including the water pump, alternator, and power steering pump. In some cases, they'll need to lift the engine slightly to gain proper access. Number 10. Toyota 1ZZFE 1998 to 2002. Wait, a Toyota on this list? Believe it, even the mighty Toyota has its skeletons in the closet, and the 1ZZFE engine from 1998 to 2002 is a big one. Found in the Corolla Celica GT and even the Matrix of that era, this engine has a major design flaw in its piston rings. The rings weren't properly designed, allowing oil to sneak past and burn in the combustion chamber. The problem specifically stems from too narrow oil control rings and insufficient drain holes in the piston land area. This design flaw is compounded by another issue. The PCV system tends to draw oil vapor into the intake, where it burns and creates carbon deposits. These deposits gradually clog the already insufficient oil return holes in the piston, creating a vicious cycle of increasing oil consumption. The result? These engines burn oil at an alarming rate, sometimes a quart every 600 miles. And here's why that's a road trip disaster. If you don't constantly check your oil levels, the engine will run dry and seize up completely. Imagine being on a long stretch of highway through the desert, enjoying your drive, not realizing your engine is slowly running out of oil. By the time that oil light comes on, if it even works properly, it's often too late. The damage is done. Bearings have scored, pistons have overheated, and you're looking at a complete engine rebuild. Number 9. Mercedes-Benz M272 V6, 2004 to 2008. The Mercedes M272 V6 engine, used in the C-Class, E-Class, and ML Class from 2004 to 2008, looks like German engineering excellence. With 3.0 to 3.5 liters of displacement and up to 268 horsepower, it powers some of the most prestigious luxury cars of its era. Under the surface, though, lurks a catastrophic flaw that can ruin your road trip plans. The balance shaft sprocket, a critical timing component, was made with a soft metal alloy that wears down prematurely. Specifically, Mercedes used a sintered steel alloy for this gear, which simply doesn't have the durability required for this critical application. What makes this insidious is that there are no obvious symptoms until the damage is severe. You might notice a subtle timing chain, rattle, or slight loss of power, but these symptoms are easy to ignore. As it wears, the timing chain slackens, throwing off the engine timing. By the time the check engine light comes on, usually for camshaft position sensor codes, significant damage has already occurred. Number 8. Subaru 2.5-liter EJ25, 1996 to 2011. The Subaru EJ25 engine powered everything from the Outback to the Forester between 1996 and 2011. These boxer engines have a cult following and a reputation for being bulletproof in snow and off-road conditions. They feature a distinctive horizontally opposed layout that gives Subarus their signature sound and low center of gravity. Unfortunately, they also have a reputation for blowing head gaskets. The horizontally opposed design of the engine, combined with Subaru's choice of head gasket materials, created a perfect storm of failure. The multi-layer steel, MLS gaskets used in these engines were simply inadequate for the thermal cycling they experienced. The aluminum heads and iron block expand and contract at different rates, putting strain on the gaskets. The SOHC single overhead cam versions, like the EJ251 and EJ252, typically develop external leaks first. You'll notice coolant or oil seeping from between the block and heads. The DOHC double overhead cam versions, like the EJ25D, are more prone to internal leaks, which are far more dangerous. External leaks might just leave oil spots on your driveway, but internal leaks are the road trip killers. Coolant leaks into the combustion chamber, causing overheating and potential warping of the aluminum heads. This can also lead to combustion gases entering the cooling system, creating air pockets that further reduce cooling efficiency. Number 7. VW and Audi 2.0-liter TSI 2008 to 2013. If you're looking at a 2008 to 2013 VW Jetta, Golf, GTI, or Audi A4 with the 2.0-liter TSI engine codes CCTA, CBFA, CAEB, you're looking at what might be the most clear-cut case of a design flaw on this entire list. This EA888 Gen 1 and Gen 2 engine features direct injection, turbocharging, and a timing chain instead of a belt. All things that should theoretically improve reliability. But there's one critical component that turns this otherwise solid engine into a grenade with the pin pulled: the timing chain tensioner. The original hydraulic tensioner in these engines has a fatal design flaw. The plastic body of the tensioner can develop cracks, leading to a loss of oil pressure that keeps the tensioner extended. When this happens, the timing chain loses tension and can skip across the gears, causing the timing to jump by several teeth. And since this is an interference engine, meaning the pistons and valves occupy the same space at different times in the cycle, a timing jump means the pistons hit the valves. Game over. Bent valves, damaged pistons, and potentially a scored cylinder head. Number 6. Mazda 1.3-liter 13 B Renesis rotary 2003 to 2012. The Mazda RX-8's rotary engine is a fascinating piece of engineering, compact, high revving, and unlike anything else on the road. The 1.3-liter 13 B Renesis was a significant evolution of Mazda's rotary design, featuring side exhaust and intake ports instead of peripheral ports for better emissions. It's also completely unsuitable for long road trips. Unlike conventional piston engines, the rotary engine relies on apex seals, thin strips of metal that maintain compression in the rotary chambers. These seals ride along the inside of the housing, constantly scraping against the surface like tiny windshield wipers. The continuous friction causes these seals to wear out rapidly, often before 60,000 miles. The Renesis engine is particularly sensitive to how it's driven. Short trips where the engine never reaches operating temperature accelerate seal wear dramatically. But even careful owners who follow all maintenance recommendations are fighting a losing battle. The fundamental design of the Renesis engine limits apex seal life. Another critical issue is ignition system reliability. The RX-8 uses individual coils for each rotor face, and these coils fail frequently. When they do, incomplete combustion occurs, which quickly damages those already vulnerable apex seals. As they wear, the engine loses compression. The RX-8 needs a minimum of about 7.5 to 1 compression ratio to run properly. You might notice it getting harder to start, especially when hot, a condition known as hot start problems. You might lose power, and then suddenly you won't be able to start the car at all. Let me know if you're enjoying this video so far by hitting that like button, and if you've had experience with any of these engines, drop a comment below. Number 5. GM 5.3-liter V8 with AFM and DOD 2011 to 2014 plus. GM's 5.3-liter V8 has powered countless Silverados, Sierras, Tahoes, and Yukons over the years. Normally, these engines are rock solid, but when GM added active fuel management, AFM or displacement on demand, DOD, starting around 2005, they created a monster. AFM shuts down 4 cylinders when you don't need full power, supposedly saving fuel. The system deactivates cylinders 1, 4, 6, and 7, turning the V8 into a V4 during light loads like highway cruising. It does this by using special lifters with internal locking pins that collapse when oil pressure is applied through solenoids. The problem? The specialized lifters that make this possible are prone to collapse. These complex lifters contain small springs, locking pins, and other components that can wear out or break. When this happens, the lifter no longer follows the camshaft lobe correctly, causing the valve to remain partially open or closed when it shouldn't be. When an AFM lifter fails, it causes misfires, power loss, and often damages the camshaft, the engine's heart. The metal from the failed lifter scores the camshaft lobe, creating a domino effect of damage throughout the valve train. You'll often find small metal particles throughout the oil system, potentially damaging bearings and other components. Number 4. Ford 5.4 3 V Triton, 2004 to 2008. The three-valve version of Ford's 5.4-liter Triton V8, used in F-150s and expeditions from 2004 to 2008, might be the worst engine Ford ever put in a truck. This engine has not one, but two potential road trip ruiners. First, the variable cam timing VCT system relies on oil pressure to function. The system uses cam phasers, essentially variable valve timing actuators, to adjust camshaft timing on the fly. When working properly, they improve both power and fuel economy. The problem is that the cam phasers use complex internal mechanisms that can wear out or stick. The phaser's internal components, including the locking pins, springs, and vanes, are subjected to constant oil pressure cycling. When the composite timing chain tensioners fail, oil pressure drops, causing the infamous 5.4 death rattle and potential valve damage. This rattle typically occurs at startup when oil pressure is lowest. It sounds like marbles in a tin can, a terrifying sound for any vehicle owner. If not addressed, it can lead to jumped timing and catastrophic engine failure. Second, and this is truly bizarre, the spark plugs were designed with a two-piece construction that's prone to breaking off inside the cylinder head when you try to remove them. The lower portion of the plug features an extended shield that can separate from the main plug body, remaining stuck in the cylinder head. Removing broken spark plugs often requires specialized extraction tools and sometimes even cylinder head removal. What should be a simple $200 tune-up can quickly escalate to thousands in repairs. Number 3. Chrysler 2.7-liter V6, 1998 to 2004. The Chrysler 2.7-liter V6 engine, used in vehicles like the Dodge Intrepid, Chrysler Sebring, and Chrysler 300, is legendary, for all the wrong reasons. This engine has such severe oil sludge issues that it sparked class action lawsuits against Chrysler. The problem stems from several fatal flaws: high operating temperatures, restrictive oil drain paths, and an undersized 5-quart oil capacity when the engine really needed 6 quarts. The 2.7-liter runs extremely hot compared to other engines. The water pump is driven by the timing chain inside the engine, which means it's less efficient at moving coolant than a belt-driven pump would be. This higher operating temperature accelerates oil breakdown. The restrictive oil drain paths are the real killer, though. The engine has inadequate oil return passages from the cylinder heads back to the oil pan. As oil cycles through the engine, it gets trapped in the heads where it's exposed to even more heat. These factors combine to create an engine that turns oil into sludge at an alarming rate, clogging oil passages and starving critical components of lubrication. The oil pickup tube in the pan, which draws oil into the pump, often gets clogged with sludge, leading to complete loss of oil pressure. Number 2. Ford's 6.0-liter Powerstroke diesel, 2003 to 2007. The Ford's 6.0-liter Powerstroke diesel, found in Super Duty trucks from 2003 to 2007, is notorious in the diesel world. It's so problematic that an entire industry has sprung up around bulletproofing these engines. This engine replaced the legendary 7.3-liter Powerstroke, which is known for its million-mile durability. The 6.0-liter was designed to meet stricter emissions regulations while delivering more power. but the execution was deeply flawed. The issues center around the oil cooler and EGR cooler. The oil cooler uses small passages to exchange heat between the oil and coolant systems. These tiny passages, some barely larger than a pin, clog easily with debris or mineral buildup from the coolant. When the oil cooler clogs, it causes inadequate cooling of both the oil and the EGR cooler. The EGR cooler's job is to reduce NOx emissions by cooling exhaust gases before recirculating them into the intake. When it gets insufficient coolant flow due to the clogged oil cooler, the extreme heat causes the coolant inside to boil. This creates pressure that eventually ruptures the EGR cooler, allowing coolant to enter the intake system. This leads to EGR cooler failure and eventually blown head gaskets. The 6.0-liter uses torque-to-yield head bolts, which stretch slightly when tightened. These bolts can't maintain proper clamping force when the engine experiences the extreme heat and pressure from a failing cooling system. When the head gaskets blow on a diesel engine, it's not a small problem. It's a complete engine-out repair, costing between $3,000 and $8,000. The heads must be removed, machined flat, and reinstalled with stronger aftermarket head studs. Number 1. Hyundai and Kia Theta II, 2.0-liter and 2.4-liter GDI, 2011 to 2019. We've reached number 1, the engine you should never ever trust on a road trip, the Hyundai and Kia Theta, two GDI engines found in the 2011 to 2019 Sonata, Santa Fe Sport, and various Kia models including the Optima and Sportage. This engine represents the perfect storm of manufacturing defects and catastrophic failure modes. The problem? Metal debris from the manufacturing process wasn't properly cleaned out, leading to restricted oil flow to the connecting rod bearings. These engines were manufactured at Hyundai's plant in Alabama, where the machining process for the crankshaft and engine block left metal debris in the oil passages. The deburring process, which should have removed these particles, was inadequate. As a result, tiny metal shavings circulate through the oil system until they eventually collect in the bearings. The connecting rod bearings, which support the crankshaft and handle the massive forces generated during combustion, gradually wear away as these metal particles embed themselves in the soft bearing material. As they wear, they create more debris, accelerating the wear process in a vicious cycle. When these bearings fail, they don't give you warning lights or strange noises for weeks. You might hear a light ticking sound for a day or two, but then the engine simply seizes, completely and totally, often at highway speeds. The rod can even break through the engine block in catastrophic cases, spilling oil and leaving you stranded. This issue was so widespread and dangerous that it led to recalls and class action settlements costing over $2 billion. Hyundai extended the warranty to 15 years or 150,000 miles for bearing failures, but only if you've had the NOx sensor detection system software update installed. This system is designed to detect early signs of bearing wear before catastrophic failure. No engine on this list combines the severity of failure, repair cost, and lack of warning quite like the Theta II. It's the undisputed champion of engines you should never trust on a road trip. But hey, you made it to the end of the video. You're now armed with knowledge that could save you thousands of dollars in a ruined vacation. Hit subscribe if this information was useful, and don't forget to check your vehicle history before your next road trip. If you want to see the complete opposite of these engines, check out my video, 13 Old Truck Engines That Were Built to Last Forever. These are the bulletproof power plants that'll cross 1,000,000 miles without breaking a sweat. You won't believe what's at number 1.